Angelina and I had the idea for this a couple months ago. We were having lunch when I was in Philadelphia, and we were talking about the Quip conference, and we realized with Emma as clerk and me coming for work that we were going to have 3 editorial board members here on the 15th anniversary of Sprit Rising's release. Yay! So we thought it would be fun to get to celebrate that with all of you and do a look back and where we're all at now. So for those who don't know, this is Sprit Rising, a young Quaker voices, and it is an international anthology of, I don't remember how many writers. Do you remember?
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I remember the ages spanned, because we did fudge, 11 to 41 years old at the time. And they were from 18 different countries, spanning a huge array of topics. So we wanted to start today with a little personal reflection about what working on the book meant for each of us. We are 3 out of 10, and we span 5 countries. We're gonna have pictures shown of us in 2009. Yes, Liz says it was when we were young and beautiful. And now we're all middle-aged.
And beautiful.
Thank you. I have thought about this so many times. I was even at Pacific Yearly Meeting and I saw some copies in the bookstore and a guy was looking around the area and I said, you know, it's a really good book, that one. And this is still the book I recommend to people new to Quakerism because yes, the authors were younger, but the span of Quaker experience in this is incredible. So it's just a fantastic book in general for anybody. Angelina, our fearless leader, forever.
I would like to add something else.
Mm-hmm.
So this book also was translated into Spanish.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So if somebody is kind of looking, is there any Quaker book translated into Spanish so you can recommend to look for that?
I
So
believe,
the Spanish is available this is available as an ebook. The English is available as an ebook, but the Spanish is also available as an ebook. In fact, that's all we have with Spanish, but.
and these books are available at FGC.
Okay.
Is that what you wanted to say?
Yeah, we have actual print book for LSU at QuakeBooks.org.
So QuakerBooks.org is where you can buy them. So, Angelina, what was your experience like working on Sprit Rising?
Sure. So I'm also gonna look at my phone, that's where my notes are. I hope this isn't too much talking. I wasn't
Nope,
sure.
go
It's
for it.
fine. So I was on the editorial board, I was also we were trying to figure out what my title was, I was the project assistant. So I had a hourly paid position for several years supporting the editorial board and the project. And I started working on the book in 2007 and worked on it until 2010, until just after it was released. It was a very clear and very formative experience for me of really feeling like called or led, like this was something I was supposed to work on and I had skills that were needed. And working with the editorial board and authors and collaborating with friends from across the many branches of the family tree was really profound for me. We did a lot of listening and good listening and collaborating across difference, but it was not always easy or comfortable. And that was something that we really wrestled with together. And this project for me was sort of a capstone on several years of working for different Quaker organizations, and also happened during pretty tumultuous period in my life, like my late 20s. It's interesting to look back now as somebody in my early 40s, and I'm like, who was that woman? Very different. But when I was thinking about what this project sort of did for me is that it actually gave me a lot of ballast, and in a time where I was trying to figure out what my work in the world was going to be and what it was that I was called to. And when we started, I was working in F2C as publications intern. I applied for and moved to start seminary, and then made a last minute decision to not do that. And had a transitional kind of liminal year. I came here for 2 terms as a residential student. We had the part of the editorial board came here before we traveled together to Oregon in
2009.
Nine was Oregon. And then at the end, I moved to California to teach at the Woolman semester at Sierra Friends Center, which sadly no longer exists. Having the collaboration and the consistency of this project and the editorial board and also Quip Friends, and also frankly just like the income, meant that I could try different things and hold space to figure out what I wanted to do. And where I landed was in education, and I'm still in education. I taught high school for a few years, and now I work at a university. The last decades or so of my life has actually not included a lot of work with or for Quakers. Like I live in Philly, it's in the ether. I grew up in Pendle Hill, but it hasn't been an intense part of my life. But I'm aware all the time of how this project kind of impacted me as a person, and how my time with Quakers in that period in my life has kind of shaped who I am. And if you've worked at a university, you know that sorry, I liked how I wrote it down, now I can't think of what it was. Oh, that power works in a lot of different ways. There are like multiple systems of governance that kind of coexist. And like being a friend and having done like pretty intensive work across difference with friends, I don't really take anything for granted. And I'm paying attention to how people are working together, and I'm listening, and I want to collaborate and I want to share power. And like that has really informed my work since then, even though I'm not actively working with Quakers.
I came on when you expanded the search. So I think you had 5 people, but you wanted more. And that's when I heard about it and applied. I was a baby Quaker. I'd been a Quaker for a year. As I found out our very first meeting, I come from a Quaker family, didn't know that at the time, found my way home. But what I remember most is the gatherings where we would be sitting together and there would be a piece about wife inheritance. And we'd ask John, please tell us about this. And then there would be another piece about the no dancing in Bolivia. And we would ask Emma, tell us about this. Or a camp in Canada that KD had to tell us about. It was just I learned so much. I was thrown into the deep end, and it ended up being the piece I love most about Quakerism is the diversity and the different experiences and the equality of it. That I can have an experience and you can have an experience and they can be different, but they're both beautiful. And I loved that. Discussions could be really hard, and that's another thing I learned. We were coming up with a title, and I don't even remember the title we had almost all agreed on. And then someone said, I don't like that title. And it had been such a hard discussion already. And we're like, oh my gosh. And this ended up being a good title. So it was my experience of learning, you can have a discussion, and sometimes that one person who says this isn't quite right is an important voice. Yes. And that everyone has a piece to the puzzle to bring. I loved the conversations were rich. Hard at times, but also rich. I was very lucky because Harriet was in England at the Quip Conference to release the book in 2011, and someone asked me would I be willing to come out for that, and I ended up doing a whole speaking tour in Europe on the book. packed them in my suitcase and sold them along the way. And got to meet with people from different countries about it. FWCC, ironically, they had the Europe and Middle East Conference in Switzerland, and I had the time between needing to be in France before going back to England. So I messaged and I said, could I come? And they said, please come, because this is one of our recommended readings. So it taught me so much that has been the foundation of my Quaker experience since then. Getting to now work in FWCC and having that diversity piece first and foremost as a value. Since then, so you went into this already. I ended up joining Northwest Yearly Meeting. I was at Freedom Friends Church, which was independent. And I wanted the yearly meeting experience after having a very international experience. So joined that for a few years, and then our yearly meeting kicked out the LGBTQ inclusive churches. So I went and formed a new yearly meeting with others and ended up clerking that, co-clerking for a couple years. And then I was pretty much done. I told nominations not to even ask, which they have pretty much honored. And then I got onto FWCC, and it feels like swimming in these waters again, of the international piece, the diversity, encouraging that, working with people from South America, like Emma, and getting to cross paths with her more often. I even crossed paths with Wes Daniels, that was fun too. So every now and then I get to see one of the editorial board members.
Hi, Katrina.
Oh, yeah, you maybe should.
Hey.
Hi.
You.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
Oh.
The next generation.
I was thinking, yeah.
So Katrina, we are sharing what the experience meant to us and where you're at now.
Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Katrina McQuail. I use she, her pronouns. I live in Lucknow, Ontario, which is on the territories of the Anishinaabe, the Odawa, and the Mississauga peoples. I do have 3 children. You're right, buddy. So doing the Sprit Rising project was a profound opportunity for me to think about my own experience as a Quaker youth, and also to learn about other Quaker youth and their experiences and how vastly different they could be, but also how similar across the different types of Quakerism and in different countries. I think it was incredibly special to have the opportunity to work with so many other young Quakers, young Quaker authors. And so these guys are really excited to show you all their things. And also humbling just to do the workshops, to learn the editorial process, to be part of figuring out which pieces went in and how they went in, and then the awesomeness of the experience of deciding to have it multilingually, like having a Spanish version as well, and just realizing how much work that takes, and then working with the other editors was just amazing and has created lifelong bonds. I had the absolute pleasure of traveling through Central America a few years after we worked on the book, and so got to be there and see folks in Honduras and El Salvador and Guatemala, and to have a little bit of context before I went, and then to be able to share with folks while we were there. Yeah, it was incredibly profound. Where I'm at now, I'm back home on the farm that I grew up on. I moved back 10 years ago now. And so I farm full time, and I have these 3 lovely humans. Stella, you wave. Stella is 5 years old. Who are you?
No, and I'm 4 years old.
Emo, who's 4 years old. And then can you introduce this guy?
This is Houston, and he is 2.
Yeah.
And so we are family.
Where's Daddy right now?
Coffee.
Daddy's working at Costa Coffee. Oh, you want to know how old they are? Oh, how old am I? Mom is 41. Daddy's 40.
42.
And Daddy's 42. Yeah, so
It's 22, right?
Sure.
wow. Yeah, so my Quaker journey has continued right now. Here, buddy, let's let them see our faces. I'm serving as the assistant presiding clerk for Friends General Conference. And we don't have a very huge Quaker community here where we are. And so one of the ways that I continue to have Quaker connection is one of the women, Rachel Miller, who I met through Sprit Rising, hosts a virtual Bible study for a group of us every Tuesday night, which is really special. She started it at the beginning of COVID as a way for us to be connected. A puppy. And so that's a way that oh, nope, too loud, Bubba. You're going to hurt their ears. Yeah. So that's us in a nutshell. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but we are in full harvest season here.
Katrina, we have some pictures from 2009. If you can hang on, we're going to show them.
I will, but I'm going to keep us on mute so we don't break any eardrums.
Okay.
Sounds good.
First, we should hear from Emma.
Yes.
We should hear from Emma first.
Hello, friends. Well, I think for me has been a very interesting experience to be part of that project. At that time, there were many young adult friends in Bolivia. So, and I didn't get the idea, me being part of this kind of international project. So, but sometimes God has a plan, So, I applied to be part of the board, and then I had this wonderful opportunity to meet a friend from Kenya for the first time, and also I was able to be here in United States and meet other young adult friends from the east, from the west, and so it has been very interesting experience, but also honestly, I don't think I have been interested in writing or something like that by that time, but I think for me has been, as I was in the board, I was asked that I can invite other Latino or Spanish speaker Quakers who can contribute with the writing pieces. So I was recruiting other young people, who can submit the written pieces. So that was one of my jobs, So I was encouraging them, like they can write, they can write a poem, or they can write just an essay, or just a very brief article. And even I was recruiting also some artists. So this picture we have on the book is from artists from Bolivia. So yeah, so it was very interesting to have the sign of the picture from Bolivia. So it has been a very wonderful opportunity to learn also from Bolivian Quakers, because in Bolivia also we have a diversity of Quakers. Even though all of us, we are known as pastoral Quakers, but we have different groups, and so it was very wonderful for me to get the written pieces from different young people and hear what they were thinking about faith, what they were thinking about God, or what they were thinking about their Quaker community, or what kind of struggles they had themselves, like about being a Quaker, So it has been very interesting. And also I was able to write some essays to contribute to the book, and was also part of something me as a Quaker at that age. I was able to contribute and say what I was thinking, So it has been another important journey with this book for me has been to do the translation. So I was challenged how we can translate those different voices, into Spanish. First was like I could say, the diversity of Quaker is not just among Latinos or in Bolivia, but this diversity of Quakers that was
Worldwide.
from Africa to United States or all the way, the diversity is really huge. Sometimes we can talk about that, but it's a very big thing. So, so that was very interesting. I think it has been also a blessing to have the final version of that book into Spanish. So I really, somehow for me, I could say thank you so much to FGC and also to Quip that they were kind of joining all this work. In some way also FWCC. And also something interesting for me, which I was reminded by our speaker today, to have elders, Each of us, we had to choose one elder. So I met my elder, actually, then later she was the executive secretary of FWCC. So she was my elder, so she was bilingual, so that was very helpful, Robin Moore, I think you must know Robin Moore. Yeah, so it was very interesting experience to check in with our elders, like about how this process of being an editor or writer or all of this work we have been doing. So how was that, So that was something very new, part of that. But anyway, that was my first experience of writing or being an editor, and right now I am kind of still in that kind of idea of writing and supporting other writers, or somehow I ended up also editing some materials, but more in the context of Quaker community, since I work related with education and Christian Quaker education in Bolivia, so I have been always kind in that idea of writing, but also whenever we translate any material from English into Spanish, so I can be helping there as a writer, but also at the same time as interpreter, as we are translating that material. So I have been all my life so far just sticking with Quakers, doing different works, and yeah, so it has been very important experience for me, and we have been friends forever with Sarah somehow, and also I have been friends with Angelina on Facebook and with Katrina. So, but I haven't seen them for a long time. So except Sarah and I, we can be in some Quaker gatherings. So thank you.
Who were the other, who else was on the editorial board?
You've
got the book,
you've got the book, you can read
Yeah,
Liz.
Kara Curtis, C. West Daniels, Harriet Hart, Evelyn Jaden, John Epera-Lemoria, and Rachel Ann Miller.
One's from Kenya.
Yeah, we were not able to get in touch with him.
Can I ask, what was the origin of the idea?
So Quip had already done a youth anthology, right, called Whispers of Faith?
Whispers and
Right.
Faith.
And it was more for middle school than
For
for
younger,
older kids and all young adults, yeah.
I think it was also one specific region, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
not international.
Right.
yeah, so this was a sort of a next step follow-up.
And what, I think everybody who gets involved in Quip has this experience of broadening their sense of what the Society of Friends is internationally, which is one of the reasons I've stuck with Quip for so long, because it's one of those contacts. So we discerned that we wanted to hear from young adult friends. We also didn't have any young adult friends with us in Quip, and this seemed to be a way to get some to be active in Quip, a little bit deceptive there, but what can I say? And we were able to get the funding for
Say
it.
something about that, because I think that's
I'm trying
what's
to remember
left.
where the funding came from, I can't.
We
remember.
applied for grants.
Yeah,
and
we
I'm
did a lot of
trying to
grant
remember
writing.
who-
What was it?
I did a lot of grant writing as part of my job. for
Yeah,
the
we
college.
got Shoemaker.
It was several, I think they're actually named in the acknowledgements.
I hope so.
I guess there was some,
Yeah.
and this is where we're falling off in terms of some of the processes of doing more of what we want to
Say
be
it louder.
doing.
Joan, you remember there are people online.
Yeah.
Say it louder. Say it louder.
One of the things that we're missing in terms of our processes as friends to get more published is the grant writing. It's also possible that grants are fewer. Both of them are true, but anyway, that's all.
Yeah, so it's a pretty significant list.
Yes.
Remember, we had people flying in every time we would meet from all over the world, so Joyce Green Association, a Finchley Quaker Meeting, Children and Young People's Program, both of Brittany Yearly Meeting, North Carolina Yearly Meeting Conservative, Publication Services Committee, Friends Institute, Jonathan Rhodes Trust, and the Quest Fund, the Philadelphia Yearly Meeting, the Obadiah Brown Benevolent Fund of New England Yearly Meeting. It goes on and on. That was a big piece of the work that I did, yeah.
Those are still going, a lot of them. I'm thinking of monthly meetings that now have some endowments where they're willing to give money, and I just want to lift that up as a
Well,
reality that we may be
The
missing.
thing that was so wonderful about it was the discernment of a project.
Yeah.
And the working out of a project which was staff and volunteer led, and came together between Quip and FGC, because we really couldn't have published without the help of FGC. So I think that we have since not really had a project quite, it was a big project. But maybe we need another one as Quip, but I don't know that we've been led to that at this point. So it really has, it has sustained us partly. I won't say that the editorial board has showed up at many Quip meetings, but they have at some, and it certainly brought you guys into the Society of Friends in a way that was, that has been enduring. So I think at this point we should just look quickly at at the photos that Trish Karn took in Oregon. And that was when you were reading all the submissions, as I remember it. Yeah, and that was a year from when it was, it came out. And Sam, can we move the,
Move the
before, these are gonna go by really fast because that's the way
Now,
the-
who's that?
That was
the
Wes.
act was gonna go.
This is John.
John, yeah. Wes.
Whoops.
And then, oops. Katrina.
Rachel.
Katrina. Rachel.
Rachel, sorry. Katrina, Rachel, again.
Harry.
Harry.
Kara.
Yeah, Harry and Kara. And there's the two guys.
Yeah.
Is that Dan?
There's Sarah.
Sarah. That is
There's
Emma.
Katrina.
There's
There's
There's Sarah.
There's Sarah.
Goodness.
Kara.
Katrina.
Christina.
We must have been reading some of the pieces.
You were reading from the yeah. There's Emma. You were cold.
I still have that coat.
There's some, just repeats in there because
Yeah, it'll cycle.
that's a
That's
larger
cute,
picture.
How many of the 10 were at, or
All of them,
all 10
Oh,
of
we
you?
had all
Yeah.
10 every year.
Yeah, we used to
Yeah.
I think I
10
met
few
all of you
times.
the following year at Quaker Hill.
right, when the
Yeah.
book came out, that was nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
More women than men.
Oh, yes, oh, yeah.
What's new?
And I think that reflects the application. The editorial board process was an application process, and I think it did skew pretty heavily to female.
Yeah.
And,
Big change.
and Sarah and Harriet did bring the book to
Mhm.
Britain, and that was a, wonderful experience.
Now, that's Wes.
That's why
Yeah,
Wes has,
I was forgetting he was in.
Wes also is a Quaker writer now.
Right.
He published
Yes.
some books.
Yes,
And
Yeah,
she
he's at
went into
Guilford
school.
College in North Carolina.
Yeah.
for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time.
And he was the only one who had children at the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, John had his kids,
Oh,
but
that's
they
right,
were
he didn't
Kenya.
get them.
Yeah.
But they brought Lily.
Yes,
They were
Wes brought
meeting.
Lily to the Oregon meeting.
Yeah.
In fact, we included her in the picture of us.
Yeah.
That's it, that's the end.
I did get to meet John's kids when I went to Kenya.
So, I might try to put these up on the website.
Sure.
This is kind of fun.
Be nice to have names with them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe add names.
If somebody will annotate them, because I don't quite, I can sort of remember, but I can't always remember. I think everybody is represented in those pictures.
Yeah.
I love your hair, Sarah.
I can still
Really
hear
different.
Katrina looking at the trucks driving
Yes,
down the
it is
highway on
different.
101 and going, "That's a folded truck!" It was, do you remember that? It was the truck and then it was folded onto itself to be shorter, but it wasn't loaded. And then I just remember her exclaiming about the blue juice at one of our events. She cracked us up.
This makes me wish we'd had pictures of the hymnal meetings.
That's not good.
Yeah.
One thing we have going for us now, technology-wise, that I think makes, like multi-country anthology projects a little easier is that we have Zoom, and that technology existed 15 years ago, but was not nearly as sophisticated as it is now, and I think you can collaborate across distance, you don't all have to be in the same place.
But would it be for a
Yeah.
printed book or would it be for something else? That's what I
Right,
keep
that's a good
wondering.
question, yeah.
I think Zoom would be great for meetings and stuff.
For
but I-
meetings, that's what I'm saying,
But
yeah.
I think the fact that you all were brought together physically
Really
had
nice.
to have influenced
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
the spirituality of the book.
You could feel it when you were there.
Mhm.
It was
You
amazing.
Yeah.
could feel their energy.
You could, I mean, I
I was
saw it
there.
at the end, but,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think the fact that all of you came
and in person was just so significant.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was
And
kind
in
of,
Indiana, we had a lot of the people who were in the book come and read.
We did.
it,
Yeah.
so-
I remember that one.
I'm sorry, am I?
and yeah, it was the idea of worshiping that
Yeah.
was very powerful.
That's key, yeah.
So because we had to hold in the light, even just to decide, making decision, the title, you know, so it was not just, we just wanted this, a title is going to sound nice or something like that, so we really wanted to make sure that's something we should choose or something like that. So, yeah, I think the being in person, it was very important.
It helped us build trust with each other too, when you have that diversity.
So can I ask a question, what's the publisher's perspective on the performance of book?
The publisher, the publisher is Quip.
Okay.
So, last we knew we had, but Audrey is the one who has the
It's French General, it's Quaker Press,
Okay.
with Quick, so it's a joint
right.
venture.
Yeah.
Offhand, I don't have the numbers with me, I'm sorry.
But you
But
were
it's still in
telling-
print, it's still in print.
Yes.
It is still in print. The English version was done just as one large printing.
Yeah.
We have many copies. The Spanish translation is print on demand,
Okay.
so
Yep.
that's still available, and we have each of them as an ebook.
Yeah, thank you.
Sarah, didn't you do the ebook?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
The sales have dropped off, obviously.
Yeah.
So we can all help that happen in a different way, right?
Well, and I don't think it's irrelevant, and I wonder if we have ideas at this point. I mean, you know, it's not, I was looking at some of the articles and they don't feel to me like they're old and stuffy, even
I
though
don't
these
think they
people
are.
have gotten
They're
old and
not.
stuffy.
Oh, that's going on the Facebook too.
Brainstorm.
It would be a wonderful book group for meetings,
Yeah.
Thank you, great idea.
where you could read a couple pieces and then come together and reflect.
Especially for young adult friends.
Any friends
Of
though.
today, of
any-
today,
yeah.
yeah.
A challenge that we haven't talked about was distributing the physical book to the
Other places.
the people in the Spanish book to people in Latin America, because many of them were carried by hand because sending things didn't work out. So so that was an interesting part of the and you weren't around at that point for the distribution. But I don't remember how many thousands we've done, I can't remember. But I think we're down to hundreds of how many of the English version.
We have about 423 copies in print.
About 423 copies.
You did look that up.
That I knew.
Yeah.
Is that going to be able to be printed on demand when it's all gone?
No.
When it's all done.
Almost anything can be converted to print on demand.
But it hasn't been converted yet.
There's no reason to convert it when we
Okay.
have so
I
much
just
currently in print.
I realize I haven't caught up with all of the technology.
That's okay, though.
We could still, with FWCC going back and forth between
I was
Central America
gonna
and South
ask you,
America,
that
bring it with us.
I think that
The
makes
question
sense.
is who's gonna pay for it. Now, Quip does get a percentage of the
Royalties.
royalties, yes.
We got $26.
Well, that shows you how many you're selling, so.
That's the royalty check I got.
So-
this
That
year.
was last year?
I just got it a little while ago, so I don't know how many years it covers, because that's the first royalty check I've gotten since I've been treasurer. So- So that's probably 2 or 3 years worth of royalties. It's not a big seller.
We
But
should
it's not
change
being
that.
promoted.
Right, that's the problem.
You
But
know,
it's old, I mean, it's old in
On our
publication.
website.
Yeah,
we should
it's,
make it.
it's
But
little,
it
but
does
it's
not-
fine.
we need to write an article for things like Friends Journal and
Yes.
FUM and Western Friends celebrating the 15 years of
Right,
working
there you go.
together.
Yeah.
That'd be
In
fun.
fact, let's get a picture at least.
And tell people how wonderful the experience was and how wonderful the material is.
And Sarah suggests we have book groups in our meeting,
Yeah.
using it.
And emphasize that the book is not dated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the content is spiritual.
so Liz is about ready to take a picture in case you want to
I've done it.
be ready for a
I've
picture.
done it several times, but they can smile if they want to.
I think we should gather by the TV too and have Katrina.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that would, is
Just not
Katrina
right
still
now.
there?
Yeah, she's here, she's probably just doing something.
Hold
with
up
the
the
kids.
cover facing out, yeah.
You had a question. Or
I
a
just,
comment.
yeah, I just wanted to comment to add to some of the kind of practical ideas of where do you go from here. And I emphasise a lot with what you're talking about. I was involved with Young Friends in the UK from 1997 to 2000, so it's a half generation before you. And that certainly brought a lot of meaning and to me, and I didn't feel really at home with the wider Quaker body at that point. And I think the ideas of just, I mean, reflecting, has anybody ever done a review of how young friends have presented themselves like this, participated in meetings over time? That's one thought, could be quite interesting to, and I think the idea of not repeating exactly, that would be impossible, but what you're doing, but actually, you know, there's been discussions earlier about blogging and about YouTube and so forth. You could use another a wider range of mediums to actually do a similar exercise with young friends today. And there's one other thought which came to mind. Yeah, I think this idea of the retrospective is very interesting. Not just an article, but you know, how's that changed, and tracking Quaker views of the same person over time, if that's feasible or useful, for example.
I have wondered, because this does read now like a who's who in Quaker leadership.
Yes, it does.
If you look at the names, my boss's piece is next to mine. He has now signed my copy at home. But it changed how I look at young adults now. Because I look at the young adults and I don't just see people who just happen to be young. I look at them and I think, okay, you are the leaders and you will be the leaders.
Yeah.
And it also changed our yearly meeting when we formed it. We heard from people saying, we want to be independent members of a yearly meeting because we move around.
And what is your yearly meeting?
Sierra Cascades Yearly Meeting of Friends. So when we formed the yearly meeting, we made sure that you could be an individual member. And it served us well for various reasons, but I thought it was really important because of this book.
So Katrina's back on. I want to see her face, and I want to see you three over there with the book.
You also have a
For a
raised
picture.
hand on there.
Yes, let's take the raised hand first.
No, that's not a raised hand, that's
Or this screen
That's their
is
cursor.
nearer, maybe.
That's not Sarah raising her hand?
That's not a raised hand.
There's you, it's on this.
We also,
No,
It's
Katrina.
it's the cursor that
We wanted-
usually is a hand, I don't know why. It does that on mine all the time.
friends, the friends online are laughing at us for not knowing what we're doing.
we were thinking of reading a few pieces.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Oh,
that.
sure.
So why don't you start us off?
But while Katrina's still here, because with 3 children, she may have to leave again, let's get the picture. Either.
Yeah, there she is now,
Yeah.
up there, move the.
Okay, oh, that's great.
Should we go over there?
Remove the
Can you move
words,
the-
got rid of the words, yeah.
While they're doing that, can I ask, has anyone found a blue phone?
Blue phone.
Phone
Is that a blue phone? That's not
No,
yours.
blue phone, oh, let me see, with,
Could possibly grow.
is this mine? No,
You
mine
guys,
has flowers
you need to
on
grow.
it.
Can you hold up the book?
It's alright.
Oh, yeah, where is it?
Talking to somebody right now.
It's in the graph.
So maybe you can tell I've done this before.
30 years as a publisher.
Are all the lights on?
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm going to
Oh, yay, technology.
WCC.
Yay,
Fantastic, thank you.
I've known Angelina since she was here, she was in and she's actually.
I do think
Very much.
at some point, we need to revisit how, right, not now, but we need to revisit the issue of how do we help people use this book. We bought 20 copies for our meeting, we're still giving them out to people, so.
Yeah. I've heard of meetings closer to time of publication, just giving it to their young members at a certain milestone, like graduating high school or going to college, something like it was just a gift that they would routinely give. This is by Rhiannon Grant of Nottingham and Derby area meeting, written yearly meeting. Knowing where you're going. Buses carry their destinations boldly, literally up front, but their passengers each bear a secret destination. If they have a number, it is on the heart, not on the forehead, and the route will lead to realms unmapped and glowing. They come together, though, as they escape the city under the bus's bright banner, which gives them a seeming unity.
Could you tell us how old she is?
She was then 24.
Yeah, and I work with her now, she works in Friends House as a content creator. She was on the blogging panel yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
that's
She's also
the
on
same,
the
yeah.
discipline with me.
Okay.
Yeah, she knows an app.
Katrina, do you have a copy of the book with you?
I can run up and grab it.
Okay, go ahead. No, this isn't too long. This is called Fish Food, and John did not know, I mean, it's not the fish food where you throw the fruit at the fish. But we had to explain what it was to him, and we went to the grocery store and bought him some so he could try it. Fish food. Why are we so quiet? Those are the first words I ever spoke in Quaker meeting. I was 12 years old, and my dad had bet me an entire pint of Ben & Jerry's fish food ice cream to stand up and ask that in the middle of meeting. As a member of the family assigned to read the psalm, I was seated on the facing bench, looking out at the 100 or so people who would soon witness my embarrassing debut. The Wrinklies, as my Aunt Esther calls them, were hunched over, their gnarled hands clutching each other, their eyes squint shut. The middle-aged crowd sat straight, now us, their eyes peacefully closed. The youngest of the congregation did not sit straight. They twisted fuzzy pipe cleaners into animal and flower shapes shapes and superstitiously poked each other until their parents stopped them with a look. That's Katrina now. The only sounds that interrupted the silence were the occasional loud cough or muffled giggle. At the 15-minute mark, all the other children stood up and left for Sunday school downstairs. I was left alone on the top bench. I glanced around a bit desperately. Why didn't I speak up earlier? I berated myself. I could have asked my question, escaped, and gotten that pint. But I had not spoken up. I was now trapped there for the next hour with nothing to do but fret over my upcoming speech. After 10 minutes, I finally got up the nerve to speak. I took a deep breath and had started to rise to my feet when Ellen Hallowell's voice broke the silence. On Tuesday morning, I went to visit my mother, who is dying of cancer. I sat back down. By the time she finished, I was a wreck. How could my one short, childish phrase compare with that moving message? But I wanted that fish food. So I gathered my wavering courage and stood up. The bench creaked. All those eyes flipped open and swiveled to me. Their interest was engaged. Rebecca Gilbert had never, ever spoken in meeting. Why are we so quiet? I quickly sat back down. The eyes still watched me, the speculation in them crystal clear. Then they closed and resumed their quiet contemplation. Phew, that wasn't so bad, I thought. Fish food, here I come. The silence was broken by Jeff Franklin. I believe that silence is the foundation of the Quaker belief. For the next hour, I listened, stunned, as 6 different people spoke about the importance of silence. Some saw silence as the chance to reflect on the events of their week. Others used silence to contemplate how God affects their lives. All of them saw silence as an opportunity to worship God in their own way. When meeting ended, many people came up to me to thank me for asking my question. On that Sunday, I discovered that sitting in silence for an hour is not just something Quakers do when they go to meeting. Rather, it is the outward expression of our deep faith in God. I did not realize at the time that my innocent question would have a greater result than a simple pint of fish food.
Go ahead.
Katrina, do you have a piece you want to read?
Remember to unmute.
Looks like she's still looking.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard. There's so many options. But maybe let's see if I can find it real fast. This is my copy that people signed, and so this one popped up. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Right.
The kingdom of life. Here is what I know about the kingdom of life. It is to recognize the spirit of Christ infusing every moment, and in that awareness, to love and laugh and mourn and feel everything held in the arms of God. It is to be aware of your own transformation, to see yourself reoriented towards greater faithfulness and courage and integrity. It is learning to love selflessly, which fulfills the self. Cody Gabriel Hirsch, 22, Miami Monthly Meeting, Southeastern Yearly Meeting.
Well, I will read written piece that was submitted from Bolivia by Jose Luis Cuellar. So he's from one of the yearly meetings in Bolivia. So the title says, "The Blessing of Prayer in My Life." From the moment of my conversion, I learned the importance of prayer. I saw how prayer changed lives in church, the ways that prayer caused people to act, and from this moment I practiced prayer. I remembered one occasion when my family encouraged a tremendous spiritual and material crisis. The problems accumulated and it seemed as if there was no escape. It was extremely painful to see my father and mother being consumed with sorrow. My refuge and the only place where I felt comfortable and without worry was the church. Listening to the preaching and the praises gave me hope that the problems were temporary and that all this would pass. And I remember one Sunday when the pastor's sermon was about a situation similar to mine. I realized that there were 1,000 of situations like mine. But in his sermon, the pastor then spoke of how important prayer is in the life of every person, whether in moments of happiness or sadness or pain. That was when I began to take prayer seriously, practicing prayer every night before I went to sleep, before eating my meal, and each time I left my house. And it was incredible how instantly I felt the results. It was then that my family and I decided to have a time of prayer together as a devotional worship when we could talk to God. The truth is that I saw the joy in the faces of my family after finishing our prayer, and little by little the problems disappeared until finally we found a way out of our uncomfortable situation. It is because of this that prayer is a blessing in my life. Every act of speaking with God is extremely important. Today there is not a day that I don't give thanks to God for what He has done in my life. And this Bible verse inspires me and helps me to continue practicing prayer. Call to me and I will respond, and I will tell you great and mighty things that you do not know. Jeremiah 33 verses 3.
Does that friend play a part in the yearly meeting that he's part of now? Do you know?
Honestly, he's from a different yearly meeting, so I haven't seen anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm sure he must be part of the yearly meeting.
It's a rich book
I just wondered.
where it just keeps speaking in different ways. Yes.
I have a question about the who's who comment earlier. What's the relationship between those two things? Is it that this book just gathered an extraordinary group of people? Or was there something in being affirmed by the publication process that helped those people
Yeah.
feel led to more leadership? Or
That's a
what's
good
been
question. I think both, yeah.
And also just for the sake of transparency, I'm not a who's who, I haven't done
Yeah.
much Quaker stuff in the last 10 years, so
You're always a who's who to me.
thank you. Still a friend, but my work life is not in the Quaker realm, so, it's, and that's fine too, like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm well prepared to be a Quaker in a different context. But
I think it's also just the natural progression of these were the young adults in Quakerism, and now they're the middle-aged people of Quakerism. So it's the natural of Gabriel still at Friends Journal, and Evan now leads FWCC, and Wes is a wonderful writer and professor, and I think it's just, we grew up.
But was the invitation important? And if the invitation was important, are we issuing a similar invitation?
Yeah.
That's the question behind it.
the invitation was
That's a key question.
And while we were working on this, people kept giving me other youth anthologies. So obviously there was Whispers, which in this book is sort of I think of them as in the same family. But there was also a Kenyan youth anthology and a Canadian youth anthology that had been often yearly meeting driven and small press run, and people kind of had to know about them. They were not sponsored by a larger Quaker press, and so I think it's a form that you keep doing. As much as I think this book has integrity and it stood the test of time. Like every generation, they're useful, or projects it doesn't have to be a book, but projects like that do have a lot of power, and have been worth repeating in different communities. So
Of telling the young adults your voice is important and worth hearing. One of the thoughts we had near the end as an editorial board was this book will stand as a good representation until the next generation comes along and decides that this no longer covers our experience, and then they will write a new one.
Yeah, but also they could do it, we can do it too.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, to me, the process of doing something as a group is much more difficult and long and all that than writing, something yourself. But I always think it comes out better. Do other people feel that way? I've been part of several processes. Now, this wasn't where you all wrote the same thing. It was more of an editorial.
We're all in the book too.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
are, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I hope so.
The experience of doing something together in itself is an experience that's rich, when it's taken seriously and valued. I'm thinking of, other projects we've been part of that are that group oriented, so it feels to me like it really is an important, and getting back to what Aileen is talking about, so the actual doing of that process feels to me really important, as well as the publishing of the book.
Yeah, to me, and maybe to Joan too, the FGC hymnal,
Well, definitely.
yeah, was, I never expected, my little Jewish girl who doesn't know any hymnal music at all, I never expected to be working on editing and managing the publication of a hymnal, but it was a terrific experience. It started with regional groups meeting, selecting things. They submitted over 1,000 hymns, and then a group came together 4 times. Four times you came together in the Philadelphia area to choose the 335, and then a small group.
But I only remember the group from the full group that was selected from the ones that were submitted.
Right.
That's my memory of it.
Yeah, 335 of those were selected, and then they had to be, we had a professional do the music. We had a professional hymnal editor go through and do and proof the music, because we couldn't,
Wasn't perfect, but that's okay.
well, and the other thing is that two foolish Quakers sat and proofed the words, Fran Beer and I, and that was not so good either. We had 100 things that changed in the second edition, so. Yeah.
But the thing you left out was arranging the hymnal, which is what we did.
Oh,
as a
that's right,
group.
that
was, how are we going to put all these together?
Yeah.
Did you have that also when you were looking at did you have a way of thinking about, okay, now we've got all these things, how are we gonna put it all together?
Yes,
that was.
I think our process was that the subsections emerged from what we had.
Yeah, that's
Does that
what
sound right?
I think we matched it to the queries we put out there.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I think we had general
Yeah.
categories of queries and that became our chapters.
Categories, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but, and then we had to choose a color for the cover.
It was easy, actually.
No, it wasn't. The group,
I got my way, so it
well,
was
it was, the group split smack down the middle. There was 1 man and 4 women. 2 women wanted red and 2 women wanted the teal that it is. And the man, we turned to the man, I was a staff person, I was not, I shut up. We turned to the man and that was Paul Mangelsdorf, some of you may remember. And he leaned forward and back as he was wont to do and said, well, I'm colorblind. And so we chose the teal, which was what Fran Beer wanted. She was the clerk of that.
I think that FGC having the institutional memory of having done the hymnal project, but also Quip having memory of having done Whispers, definitely informed how we were encouraged and advised to proceed. And a lot of it was us too, we brought our own sensibilities. And I think the process that we had in meeting in person and how we solicited and the invitation, was for the sake of producing a book. But to your point from earlier, we can do this kind of work, it doesn't have to be a book. And I think that then asks, okay, well, if it's not a book, how does that change the process? How does that change the invitation?
Yeah.
Right? So that it's still a meaningful invitation, but we're making something different. And I think that's probably worth thinking about. And there's some really interesting, young adult led Quaker media too, that I think is a good model too.
Yeah.
So that's the inspirations out there. Yeah.
So something for me, talking about this book project, I could say some way or another, Sarah, me and Wes, for example, we have been kind known as a Quaker writers, not just in our yearly meeting, in different yearly meetings, and we have presented our books and so on. So I think it was kind of like, encouraging these young people, maybe they have this opportunity to be a writer or kind go on that path of being a writer, So I think that's very important. But also something I would like to say that, I think in this year that's 2025, maybe Quip right now, it could say, oh, we can think about another project, because we are not many, or we don't have funds, or how we can get the funds, but I think it's still possible, I could say, and if we have any opportunity in the near future and encourage other, younger people who would like to kind of explore this idea of being Quaker writers, so give that opportunity, to kind, at least for me that was my experience, if I couldn't have been part of that project, right now maybe I can be, doing something else or being focused in something else. So so that could be also something we should think about, like in near future, how we can support other younger generation to be a Quaker writer. What we could be maybe a book project or something related with something, especially written words, but I think as a Quip, we have to continue thinking that we can be an organization that we can represent in the wider Quaker community as a Quaker writers. So that's something I would like to highlight. I think I remember Liz and other friends, Rosie, and they have been there. They were like our, I could say, in that role, like I felt that way, they were these writers, who were joining us as we were working on that project, So that was very encouraging. So it's like they were trusting us, you can do this, So, and after when we finally finished and it was published, and it was just a really wonderful experience. So,
And it's being used in all over the United States, in all kinds of meetings, not just the unprogrammed folks.
Maybe there's a query there on the website about this book, and to find out, we'd love to hear how you're using this book, and oh, you don't know about it, well, you can get it at Quaker Books. It might be a really good idea to lift it up on the website. Somewhere.
So do it. Or do it on our Facebook page, that's easy.
There you go. Someone do it, I'll share it. Or I'll do it and someone else can share it, whatever.
It's like seeing an old friend whenever I see it on someone's bookshelf or at a church.
Yeah.
So
remember that quote for Facebook. No.
For many years after publication, I would get Facebook friend requests from random Quakers that I did not know. And after a while I was like, I think it's the book. Who are all these people? Like, we would have like other Quakers in common, but it was like, I don't know you. And I was like, oh, it's the book, it's because people are like recognizing my name from the book, and that was cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for several years, I think all 10 of us had high name recognition among Quaker circles.
yeah.
Well, if one of you or three of you, or with Katrina, maybe two, were willing to write something snappy that went on the website, we will put up part of this video and part of this presentation, and then also put up whatever is written. But I don't think the web person should write it.
Well, I think they do too, if we can get Gabe to do a 15-year anniversary where you still have this book, it's great, you can do these things with it
Well,
and go here
that
and
would
buy
be
it.
really good, because Friends Journal really does hit the, and maybe Quip should take out an ad in Friends Journal for the book at that point, maybe share the cost of an ad.
Let's also put it in Western Friend, let's remember that we have more than one.
Yeah, and that's much
Yeah.
easier, but somebody has to do it, friends.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, somebody, and we don't have a staff person.
that's fine. I
But
can help with that.
if we were to do that, I would want a part of it to be, this was a piece of the work needs to continue, you know, not,
Yes,
Yeah.
it's done, let's celebrate,
yes.
but you know, an invitation to continue the
That's
process.
right, that's right. Yep.
And some of it is being continued in the Quaker podcasts and in Quaker Speak and,
That's very different though.
it's,
No.
but it's not different, it's the new media, it's,
I'm
it's,
talking about the way it's different,
The way-
we'll talk later,
Yeah.
the way it's different.
but I mean, we can't, that process may never happen again.
Well, I hope
Because-
something like it will. And so that's what I'm.
Yeah.
Because it's very different.
Well,
Yeah.
Weston's daughter's almost a young adult, so the next generation's
true.
almost there.
That's right.
Elizabeth was 17, right?
Yeah.
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 Billy
You know,
Daniels.
I can put an article in Book Musings, that's the newsletter for QuakerBooks.org.
Oh, that'd be exciting. I like book musings.
And as I remember, it's seven places, you see it in 7 places, maybe you'll buy the book. I mean, it's sort of, that seems to be the rule, so we can have it in lots of places.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity, it feels like it was my Quaker home.
Thank you. Also, yeah.
Happy birthday,
happy birthday.
They all- We should have had a cake, but, you know.
If, in the spirit of publicity, if any of you want to make an Instagram video outside, I'll hold the camera for you.
Oh,
Somebody else should probably do it on their account.
Yeah, does one of you have one of those newfangled accounts on Instagram?
does nobody have an Instagram account?
On Instagram, I do.
Eileen, good.
I have one, my students were horrified I didn't use it.
I have an account, but I have never figured out what to do with it. So
I can do it on my Instagram. I actually never do video, so I just need to make sure I know how to upload it. I think you can do it live or you can upload it.
If we make one, I'll figure it out and post it on mine, my students will be amazed.
Okay, great. If you guys wanna do that, I'll meet you on the hill in 5 minutes.
Okay. That's great, thank you, Eileen.
Pendle Hill,
That's
we
right.
can call it Pendle Hill. A great readership gathered.
Yeah.
Right, we'll all come and watch. So this has been a really good session. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks for online for hanging in.
We didn't miss any other editorial board members.